Happy time period, bracketeers. We're coming at you again, back with David Spencer. This is part two of our episode on trauma and PTSD. If you haven't listened to part one, you really, really should. David Spencer has a lot of qualifications. Probably the most significant is that he is a bracketeer. He listens to the show. He's excited about the show. He wanted to be on the show. Dreams come true.
Shazam. Here I am.
Come true.
And you didn't have to give me a box of crayons neither.
Exactly. All right. All right. So for those of you who don't know, the joke about jarheads is if you give them crayons and they eat them. So David, feeling superior with his army, is trying to look down on me because everyone knows the army is deeply inferior when they have to sit next to the Marines. So this is to be expected.
Yeah, well, just keep dreaming.
Here will be like brothers separate.
That's right. And look, we can talk about each other, but nobody else can.
That's right. Don't try to come between us.
That's right.
There'll be a double punch. All right, so we started on part one, and we talked about PTSD, and we defined it real quickly. PTSD is when things threaten you, life, limb, or danger, or when you observe things that threaten life, limb, or danger. You can have primary or secondary.
Or you live through that event.
You live through those things. Yeah. And you can also have secondary when you live with someone who's lived through those things.
And it rolls off on you.
Like an unbalanced or PTSD parent can really do some damage to their kids.
Or a parent that's been through combat as well.
Right. Go back.
Yeah, some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Go back to that. Listen to part one to get all that stuff because we're not going to go into it again.
Yeah, it's a long way back.
Yeah, man. It was a whole episode ago.
But PTSD is basically we're concentrating on that, but we're also concentrating on a lot of the triggers and a lot of things that help soothe the triggers or calm the triggers, and how to avoid being in positions like that where you get triggered and go have an anxiety attack or as I call it, I have a PTSD moment.
Okay.
Which my wife will tell you real quick, don't let that happen.
It's interesting you say that because we my wife and I we have an empty nest, and we kind of got this whole this fun game of like hide and seek. We'll go down and be in the darker room and go boo, and it's fun. And then here life has got real lifey here for the last couple months.
It has,
and so got a lot of things going on at the same time, and my bandwidth is narrower and narrower. And she popped out the other day and went boo, and I don't you dare do that. And she's like, when did that stop being fun?
As you changed your
pants. I guess last week it stopped being fun. Mm-hmm. It's like until such a time that I have more of my brain and I don't feel like life is trying to choke me out, maybe we postpone this game.
We're pretty much empty nester too. My children and grandchildren live in Florida, so it's a long way down to see them.
Yeah. And the good news is you get some warning.
I do get some warning when they come.
I love the fact that my kids are in town, but sometimes it's like don't. It's like who's that?
Is that?
Who's that?
They'll be knocking on my door.
Does your texter not work? Like, no, I'm here.
Call me.
Oh man. So a point I want to make, we didn't make in the last episode, is that although to people who haven't been through it, the stress and the PTSD it's not rational. If it looks irrational, it looks scary, it looks crazy, it makes no sense. But I came across a definition. I read this paper. The authors are Keck, Compton, Schoenberg, and Compton, Trauma Recovery, A Heroic Journey. And this quote says, trauma symptoms may have temporarily served as a makeshift coping skills in a resource-barren environment. You didn't have resources, you need coping skills, you did trauma stuff. Mm-hmm. In fact, the behavioral, cognitive, and emotional reactions may have been useful during the time of trauma and represent a reasonable response to extraordinary adverse circumstances.
That's a whole lot of words.
But let's just repeat that again. So when people are freaking out with PTSD, these things helped them at one point in time when life was dangerous. Mm-hmm. They came back to a more saner world. It doesn't match very well, and it represents a reasonable response to extraordinary circumstances.
Absolutely. And a lot of that's the training that you have before you go into such environments. The better training you have, the better you deal with those environments. Yeah. And the less, and I'm not taking anything away from the trauma that you experience. But I do believe that if the better you are trained, the better you are trained, the better you can handle it, and better you can walk away from it in one piece, and you can bring those with you back.
If you're not prepared for the stress,
and that's
unprepared for you with a burden.
Yeah,
that's a Yoda. That's a badly spoken Yoda. And a thing that we like to do, we talk about the story framework on the show. And so one model of story that I've come across is that, a character comes into the story and they come with a backstory. They have a wound or a ghost.
Right.
And the story problem is basically they have a broken model of the world. Something happened to them in the past. They think I have to deal with the world like this. This new thing comes that starts the story and it doesn't work anymore.
It's broke. You got to put it together.
Luke Skywalker's minding his own business, moisture farming and whatnot, and something comes and shifts everything. No, you can't keep doing that. You have to do something different. And that's the same thing with this PTSD. Is like you have this whole pattern of things that work in the stressful situation. They keep you alive.
Absolutely.
And then you come back and you leave that and you find yourself overreacting to other things because you're not in that stressful situation anymore.
Up till I retired, I always could fall back on the military, my soldiers, my men, my women, to help me through it. Then after I retired, you don't have that.
Right.
You have the support channel of your family, but you don't have nothing else.
So you were kind of hinting that you had got some counseling for this? Who have you talked to? Or not who have you, but what are the things have you discussed?
We talk about our experiences, number one, and how you deal with it. Number two, you talk about coping.
Right.
And then the third thing you always talk about is the triggers.
Right.
And don't put yourself in a position that your post-traumatic stress episode can happen. You stay out of those circumstances. If you know it's going to trigger, you don't do it. You know it. Yeah. And the thing is, you have to. The way I was learned and the way I taught myself to and learn from others is just don't put yourself in that position. And why practice being miserable when you're already miserable?
That's true. I mean, that sounds like a standard part of recovery therapy anywhere.
It is.
Whatever your weakness is, don't go there if you can avoid it. Go
there
with a plan. Build some guardrails, build some stuff.
Right. If you're beating your hand with a hammer and it hurts, don't do it no more. I mean, it's just that simple. But, some people are hard-headed or hard-handed one.
I love that. Have you seen the sketch with Bob Newhart? And he's like, I've got this revolutionary therapy for you. Okay, well, I can't help stop biting my nails. So are you ready for this? I'm like, stop it. That's it. Yeah, he just person after person will come in his office. He's like, "Stop it! Stop it right now!"
Yeah,
I like it.
And a lot of times your mind. If you're coming to a incident or in a position where you might just have an episode, you have to learn to recognize it,
right,
and deal with it in a manner that is not hurtful, not just to you but to other people too. Right. Because a lot of times people have PTSD. Their intentions are not bad. They're very selfless. It's just that
they can't handle it.
It's just a position where they can't get through. And I've had friends that have been through life. I mean, their life almost snatched out of their lungs, and watch them recover, and they get through these positions, through these episodes, and they just work out what the trigger is. And I tell them all the time, just figure out what the trigger is. Figure it out. I mean, slow down. Write it down. Journal.
Right.
Journal is the best thing for recovery and anything. Journal what you're feeling.
Oh, that's so true. We've covered that on several episodes. It's just like journaling is a great way to get these fast-moving, hard-to-grasp thoughts and put them on the page.
It's amazing just taking a pen in hand, putting it on a piece of paper. You're transferring. I call it transferring from your heart to your pen because you're going to put it on the paper. You get all this stuff out of your head where you can actually look at it. Instead of these racing thoughts that you can't keep up with, you can actually see them. A thing that we mentioned is like the system 1 and the system 2, the automatic processes and the deliberate processes. And by going through there, you put it out like you were doing a checkbook. Okay, now I can activate my deliberate processes and look at my actual thought process. And then you check it off as you go.
Where does this equation, wait a minute, statement number 3, that makes no sense. That's not true.
Let's go back and figure this out.
Yeah.
Why did I write that down? What was the reason behind that?
Journaling is amazing.
And I've journaled, I don't know how many books full of journal, but and what I'll do is I feel like I'm over that, I'll just take that journal and I'll burn it.
Okay.
So what I'm doing, I'm taking all those bad thoughts.
Yeah.
And I had my military career, I bet we had these little green books we had that we kept our notes in, our mission notes, probably about 150, 200 pages. Those that are in the military knows when I'm talking about memorandum books.
We call it the knowledge.
Yeah, the green ones. You know what I'm talking about.
Take your knowledge.
Yeah, they were. But I mean, for my entire 32 years of my military career, I carried one in my pocket.
Oh, wow.
And so when I retired, I had about 150 books. And there's some that had some pretty decent information in it that didn't need to get out. But So I had a burn party one night.
Yeah, I understand it.
Popped the cork on a bourbon bottle and lit up a bonfire and burned every one of them.
Well, it's like burning your bridges, or like burning your. It's like a Viking funeral.
Yeah.
It's like we're just going to burn this dead past thing and start a new chapter.
And move forward.
It's over
with. I'm not in the military anymore. You know, get rid of it. Move on.
Right. Absolutely.
And so we burn it all. And there's a lot of different things that you do to move forward. Journaling is one of the best, I find.
I agree. I found it's useful in so many things.
Stay away from the bottle.
Yeah.
It's not helpful.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. You talked a little bit earlier. You were telling me about your 3 circles model of community.
I call it my circle of friends, 3 circles of friendship, basically.
Okay.
My first circle is very small.
Okay.
And it's my wife, my children, and those that are very close to me. And it's not necessarily all your family. There's a couple of my veterans brothers that I serve with and sisters that are in this family, this smaller circle. And that's a protected, very protected circle. You guard that circle with your life, everything with your life. Then I have a little bit larger circle. And that circle is made up of acquaintances, dear friends, brothers that you serve with, sisters you serve with. And those are the ones that you might go to work with, or you just work. But that's just a little bit further out. I don't quite hold them as close as I do that little smaller circle.
Right.
Then I have the large outer circle. That's your Facebook friends.
Yeah. Your acquaintances.
Those are the ones, that's your acquaintances.
Yeah.
Those are the ones out there that you just keep in contact with because you trying to figure out what they're doing. Let me see I'm going to stay their friends so I can figure out what's going on. And that outer circle to me is there for, I call myself, I reach into a circle sometimes and I pull one to a smaller circle. I'll take one out of a smaller circle and I'll put them a little further out. It's called manage your circles. Manage your circle of friends. People get crazy with it. They get so upset because they lose a friend. Or somebody don't talk to them, or you didn't text me back yesterday. Why? And that's why I have them circles. If you're going to be that way, I'll move you out to a different circle.
I have noticed that you're more social and more networky than I am. You seem to have a lot of people in your network.
Well, I try to be. I'm not as good as I used to be at it. I've had some really good networking and marketing coaches over the last several years to draw me out of my military presence and draw me back into the civilian world, which I'm not doing too well at. They say it's like pulling me through fire, kicking and screaming. So it's just hard to get away from this military. 32 years of your life, and your dad was in the military, and he retired. So then my grandfather was in the military. So it's kind of hard to get away from it.
I mean, I like your circle model. It seems to connect with our idea of like finding your tribe, because you don't ever do your quest alone. You definitely don't do a military thing alone. All these Hollywood movies where you got John Wayne or John Wick or whatever, and they're all by themselves. That is incredibly unrealistic. You have a team.
It is not going to happen.
Always got somebody carrying your back. Someone's carrying the radio. Someone's carrying the first aid kit. Someone's
carrying ammo.
Someone's carrying ammo. Someone's carrying food.
Mm-hmm.
You can't carry it all.
Beans, bullets, and blankets. Somebody's got to be there for you.
I think that's a good motto. You can't carry it all.
No. And that's why you got that circle, a small circle, you depend on to help you as you step out to the larger circles.
So the smaller circles, you go in deeper than the wider circles.
You do.
Yeah.
They know more secrets.
That's true. That's true.
They know where the bodies lie.
Yeah, I had a similar model like that. It was kind of like an inverted pyramid.
Yeah,
and so you can go deep with you can go shallow with a lot of people. But there's going to be a handful that you really go deep with.
That's it.
And I think that's natural. You can only go. You only have so much bandwidth. You can't be everyone's bestie.
And that's the problem with the youth today, is they think that they need to be friends with everybody and best friends with everybody. I don't have time for that.
I would talk about people maybe that were raised more natively to social media, and I don't think maybe they don't fully understand what it means to be a close friend in real life. Maybe that everyone has more acquaintances. Maybe what they define their acquaintances as friends because they never actually don't have a lot of experience with actual, real, deep friends.
Right. And I wish they would learn it. It'd be helpful.
It's going to be good for them and good for everyone.
Make you a good friend out there and stick to them.
Yeah.
I have them call all my brothers and sisters call all the time. So
yeah,
and it's sometimes when you feel down, we talk about some of these symptoms of PTSD, and it's really weird that those people in that inner circle, it's like they have that gut instinct. They can feel when you're down, and they'll give you a call, and out of nowhere, they're talking to you, and you're smiling, you're laughing, and that feeling of anxiety starts to leave you, and you're back.
All right. So you tend to make fun of my long words and my color crayons alternately. But I'm going to throw out a new one for you. Okay. So there's a term. So there's a term in the human biology. They talk about like homeostasis.
Okay.
If you're dehydrated, you get thirsty. If you're hungry, you eat. If you're hot, you sweat. If you're cold, you shiver. The body's always trying to maintain the balance.
That's right.
Well, there's a version. Psychologists have come up with a version of that with stress, and they call it. I gotta say it right. Allostasis. Allostasis is like releasing the stress hormones so you can rise to the occasion. It's this whole thing about keeping you alive. It's the same principle, keeping you alive by changing the balances in your body.
Right.
So these guys went on to a second one, and they called this idea, and it hasn't really caught on to mainstream yet, but I came across it somehow. Social allostasis is like your circle helps you manage your stress and your emotions.
That's true.
You're like, man, I just had this crazy thing happen. Well, tell me about it. And maybe it's your outer friends, maybe it's your inner circle, but they by listening to you and calming you down, maybe giving you good advice, maybe reminding you to decatastrophize, they help you lower your stress chemicals.
Obviously, and one thing that I just wrote this down because subject matter experts.
Ooh,
within that's some big words there.
SMEs.
Yep. Those people are the ones that you keep at different levels in your circle, so you can reach out and pull them in.
Yes.
Because they're experts. Somebody might be an expert at dealing with ex-wives or dealing with children that are absolutely crazy. Reach out there for their help.
My kids will call me up and they say, hey, so about this complicated paperwork or my FAFSA or something. I'm like, I think you meant to call your mom. She's the SME on paperworks and bureaucracy. You call me about different things.
I tell them to call my wife all the time because I don't know nothing.
Yeah. I'm into it, but that's the thing. But you have your specialties.
I do have my specialties.
There would be, like, if someone had a difficult situation at work and they were trying to figure out how to manage people, they would usually call me. Mm-hmm. They were trying to figure out how to do their taxes, they would call her. Mm-hmm. Just because you're the SMEs in the circle.
And that's what they need. Taxes and anything to do with money, you call my wife.
I like it.
Anything to do with anything else, call me. I'll tell you how to mess it up.
So I heard that you found a stowaway on your property one day.
Oh, my goodness. 20-something years ago, I had a just golden retriever that was absolutely beautiful and got stolen from me, and I swore I'd never have another dog.
Okay.
And
All right, so that sounds like your wound and your flawed model of the world. That's your backstory.
I was mad because
you're entering the story,
right? So
with
I was
a grudge
wounded
against dog thieves.
And so we got us an English Springer Spaniel. We drove last January, actually, in the snowstorm all the way to Dayton, Ohio, to get this dog.
Okay.
And back in the snow. Lost my mind.
So we're going to clarify here that although the jarheads are a stereotype to be foolish, you drove through a blizzard to get a dog.
I lost my mind.
I just want to be clear that there's enough crazy to go around.
Well, everybody said you need to get a dog. It helps you with the PTSD. You need to get a dog.
But they didn't say a blizzard, did they?
No, they didn't.
Okay, you added that yourself.
Yeah, and I said, well, it's part of life. Deal with it. So we get the dog, and so last June I was on my way to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of the D-Day. And this yellow dog comes up, has been coming up on the back of the property and getting up under my motorcycle trailer and getting out of the heat in the shade because it was nice and cool back there. And my wife would go down, take him water and some food.
And he wasn't invited. He was like an interloper.
He just appeared out of nowhere. Yeah. He'd wander up and wander out. He'd show up one day, he'd be dirty, next day he'd be clean. It was like craziness. And so I went on to Normandy for the trip, and when I come back, the dog was still there. And my wife had gotten he'd come up to her, but just wouldn't follow her around. He wouldn't, of course, the yard wasn't fenced except for the fence area around the pool area. And the Springer Spaniel would stay up there, so he'd come up and visit with the Springer Spaniel, but wouldn't stay up there for long. So I said, well, we got to figure out what we're going to do with this dog. So I went out it was a pretty good walk, probably about 200, 300 feet to the back of the property there, and I took some water and some food out to him, and I sat down on the ground up right by that trailer.
Okay.
Right beside the trailer in shade. I sat down in the chiggers and the ants, and he came out, crawled out from under, and I took the water out of the bowl. He drank water out of my hands, and then I took food out of and he ate the food out of my hand.
And you were bonding with him.
I was bonding with him, showing him that I wasn't going to hurt him because I didn't know his history.
Right.
And I'm not a pet trainer by no means, or a pet expert, or a dog expert for that matter, but I just knew what my dad told me many, many years ago. You treat a dog the way you want to be treated.
That's a good advice.
And if you want to be loved, you treat the dog with love and tenderness. So I treated him with love and tenderness. And eventually we got him to, my daughter had came and my granddaughter, and they'd come up from Florida, and we decided we were going to take him to the vet.
Okay.
To figure out what's wrong with him. And his tail was eat up. All the hair off his tail was gone. Eat up with bugs and everything. So we got him in the car.
There was like a stick in his mouth?
There was a stick stuck sideways in the roof of his mouth. We didn't know that at the time.
Like a bone piercing.
Right. It was just stuck up in there.
Right.
And poor baby been so hungry, he's eating sticks.
Oh, man.
And I can imagine that. So I had the surgery done, had that removed, had him dipped, taken care of the bugs, and had him checked out. He should have been weighing about 80 pounds. He didn't weigh but about 40, maybe 50 pounds. And so we brought him back, and we decided we were going. He was just so kind, so gentle, just very protective. He's a Great Pyrenees mix.
Okay.
He's got, I think, 50% Great Pyrenees, 25% Husky, Siberian Husky, and then the rest of it's mutt.
But then you had him trained, though.
Yeah, we took him to get trained. About a friend of mine up in Somerville, Josh, is K9 veteran K9. I'll get it right. Anyway, I took him up there, and he trains dogs, and so
he was training to be an emotional support dog.
PTSD dog, a service dog.
Okay.
And so I said, well, we'll pay for him to be trained, and Josh, you find somebody for him. We'll help you find a veteran for him.
Right.
Because Yellow Dogs, we called him then, and his name ended up being Charlie. And he was so protective and so loving and so gentle, and had such a gentle soul about him. So he ended up being there about 7 weeks. In that time process, we were getting ready to pick him up, and my youngest daughter, who was 38 at the time, was in a horrific accident, and we lost her.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was very kind, and he kept him for another week and a half while we managed that situation.
You were supposed to pick him up the next day.
And I told him at that time, I said, we're going to keep him. I said, we're not. We just keep him. Charlie's been a special gift.
Right.
He keeps me calm when I feel a little anxious. I think he senses it.
So you had him trained to be a companion for a vet with emotional stress.
Yep.
And it turned out that person was you.
Me. Who'd have thunk it? And it's because he was just. I didn't think I was in that kind of shape, but people who have PTSD don't realize they have PTSD, or the depth of it.
But we talked about the bandwidth thing.
Yeah,
and losing a child is unimaginable. But talk about the bandwidth constriction there.
You just narrowed it way
all
down.
of your symptoms out on the table.
And he was just. He's made a couple trips with me down to Florida. And
that's great.
He goes around with. I take him to Tractor Supply. I don't take him to a lot of places because he's so big. He's beautiful now. He weighs almost 80 pounds. He's got a full tail, a beautiful gold hair, just a magnificent love, and he smiles at me. He goes, smiles at me. He's got so much hair though. We have to vacuum 5 times a day, but
the sacrifice.
Yeah, no,
it's the cost.
It's the cost of it. And I have to work and I have to come home and clean up the dog hair. But he's just been a life-saving, I guess. It's been. When you got so much other events that went along in your life prior to the disaster, to the loss, and the loss hits you, and then
like we were talking about, when you have a pre-existing trauma and
just
PTSD, you get hit twice as hard the next time.
It's like I'm gonna hit myself in the hand again with a hammer.
It's like having a crack in a rock. We're gonna hit you again, and the crack just gets bigger,
and bigger. Hopefully it don't break, but it was a lot of help for me.
Yeah.
And if you think that you can use a service dog, I highly recommend you looking into it because it's a very he's a both of them are actually the English Springer Spaniel. His name's Granger.
Okay.
And he's part of it's like a twofer. You get 2 for 1.
So, but you would recommend anyone with any sort of emotional struggles?
I do.
Recommend one of these dogs.
And And don't go in and selecting the dog because the dog's going to select you.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Because I didn't pick Charlie up. Charlie picked us out.
So, David, I had a thought after you told me this story the first time, and I want to see what you think about this. It occurs to me that maybe Yellow Dog functions as a metaphor for the trauma itself. Like no one was looking for him, no one asked for him. He just showed up. But instead of running away, instead of ignoring him, instead of ignoring him, trying to kick him or try to drive him away, you look for a way to heal. You looked a way to heal Yellow Dog.
I did, and initially, the first thought with the dog out there is, I hope that dog goes away.
Yeah, I mean,
you need to go away, find your home, go back home. And then as my wife kept feeding him, and then we kept looking at him and talking to him and experiencing him, we just realized that.
Well, that's the opening of the story format. Maybe I don't have to deal with this problem. Maybe if I stick my head in the sand, the problem will go away.
And it didn't go away.
The problem usually kicks you in the butt instead.
Yeah, and it got deep in my wallet. So
yeah,
but it's worth every penny. And I don't know how I ever managed all these years without a canine buddy.
But the beauty of the thing with Yellow Dog and with the trauma is that you turned it around for good. Mm-hmm. What showed up as this unrecognized demand, you faced it down, you healed it up, and then it became a source of strength for yourself and for others. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is, if you can heal, if we talk about, we like to talk about like the hero's journey, but a real simplified version is that you have a departure, you leave. You have an initiation where you face all these struggles, and you have the return where you come back with the lessons.
Right.
And you can apply that, and many people have, to facing down your trauma and recovery.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing we have to realize is that through this process, the only person that can heal you is you.
Yeah.
Nobody else in your circle can heal you.
And it's not an easy story because you have to face all that fear, you have to face all that helplessness. You kind of have to go back into the thing that broke you the first time.
And how's it called? Reconfigure your mind and your heart to be able to accept it.
But if you can do that, then you come back healthier. You come back, maybe not fully healed, it may be a cycle you have to do over and over again, but you come back healed-er, and you come back with a legacy. You are healthier for your family, you can be healthier for other people with PTSD, and you can help share your wisdom.
That's key. And a leader, and I'm not calling myself a terrific leader, but at least I think I was pretty decent, knows when to lead.
Yeah.
And they know when to back off.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had to make myself better because there's too many people still dependent upon me.
Yep.
I can't dwell in the past. Yeah. I can't dwell on my losses. I can't dwell on, as my mom used to say, if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his butt every time he jumped.
That's right.
So I don't do the ifs. I've stopped doing the ifs.
Well, I think there comes a point, and maybe not for everyone, but there comes a point with age and at least with some amount of maturity is you realize, like, this is on me. I am the leader here. My dad died, and we were fairly close, but I didn't go to him for a lot of practical advice. He's me in a different area. Right. You had a question about the Bible, you'd ask him. Right. You had a question about actual practical things, maybe he wasn't the Smee you were talking to. But when he left me, I just felt this weight. Mm-hmm. It was like maybe I didn't use my phone a friend a lot, but I had that phone a friend. And then I didn't.
And you look back on it and say, well, I wish I had.
Right. And so, I'm not a big fan of the patriarchy, but I felt like I was the patriarch. There was just the responsibility settled on my shoulders. I've got 3 kids. I have soon to have 4 grandkids. And I got people there. And I'm just like, all the buck stops with me. And maybe I'm over. That's how I felt. I'm not saying that literally I need to answer every one of his questions. God forbid. But I felt that responsibility.
You had to step up to the plate.
I had to step up to that plate. Now, in a story framework, I could have run away. I could have had a midlife crisis in a sports car, an alcoholic bender or something, but that's not the choice that you made. It's not the choice that I made.
And I think a lot of that's got to do to our military training.
Yeah. Well, you got to face up to, you can't run away. You know there's people counting on you.
And that's important, is that once an individual realizes in their suffering that other people depend upon them for something.
Yeah. being dependable, I think, is going to be one of the key benefits of the military.
Yeah,
Learning how to be useful, how to be dependable, how to minimize your own ego and hurts long enough to get the job done.
Absolutely.
And once the job's done, then there'd be some complaining and some whining and stuff, but you get the job done.
Get the job done and just break out the bourbon afterwards.
Yes, absolutely.
But the hardest part to growing through the trauma is the realization that you've got the trauma, that you discover the trauma, understand the trauma, work through the trauma, and realize you got that trauma. It's not going away.
Right.
It's not going away.
Right.
You can complain, you can fuss, you can fight, you can drink, you can take a pill.
Well, and that's
it's not going away.
And that's the story format. Is this the try-fail cycle? It's like if you quit, then the story is over. But you may not succeed the first time or the first 20 times. But the story is that you are rising up again. You're putting in a new chapter, a new fight. You are slowly learning. You may not master your trauma, but you're learning your triggers better. You're learning how to deal with it better. You're learning how to not take it out on your loved ones as much.
If you remove yourself from the story continues.
Yes. Remove yourself from the equation. It's not about me and my pain. It's about the bigger story.
Right.
That's one of the beauties of the story. It's the psychological distance.
Right.
You're like, well, if it was Tom Cruise instead of me, what would I like to see in the story?
Absolutely.
I was like, well, that sounds like, that's a lot of work for Tom, but he gets paid a lot. But like, no, now you got to do it. Well, no, hold on. Let's not get too excited here.
It's a critical phase. Once you get to the healing part, and you realize that, okay, I have to step up. I mean, that's I guess step up to the plate. That I remember my first starting TO, man, you need to step up to the plate, Spencer, and make it happen. And that's what you have to do. And that's what I think we miss a lot of that in our circles. Is putting that out there for them to be able to understand. You have to step up to the plate.
So, and just to clarify for people who may not be as familiar with this concept, we're not talking about the eternal grind. We're not talking about sucking up every possible torment, but we're talking about realizing that there's always going to be pain. There's always going to be discomfort, that some things are important, and you have to rise above what you feel like doing.
And I think that my success with it, and I'm not completely successful, I categorize it. Is that the right word?
I think so. I like it.
It'll work. I can't spell it, but we'll make it work. But I can't put everything in a category, and then I work through it one at a time. Because I've come to realize through my management style that if I try to take all these categories together and try to work on them all at the same time, I am not going to do that good of a job.
As a classic combat strategist, you divide and conquer.
I do.
You divide and conquer.
I do.
I think that's a great tip. And the other tip, we're going to kind of wrap this up. But the final tip is that, as we mentioned so many times on the show, there's pleasure and there's purpose.
Right.
And with the rising up, it can be unpleasurable, it can be unpleasant, but it's for purpose.
And it wins.
And sometimes that purpose is satisfying far longer than that pleasure would be.
And I think the biggest thing that we have to realize is that we have to realize we have post-traumatic stress and that the trauma's there and learn how to deal with it. And say, okay, I accept it. Brent, I've got post-traumatic stress. I've been through trauma, and I accept it, and I'm working on it.
I've been through a fair amount of trauma. I don't know if I have PTSD. Maybe I'm in denial. I don't know.
You are.
But I like that. And you have to, something we like to say at my house is like, if everywhere you go, everyone has the same problem, then the problem might be you. And if everyone is just rude to you and can't get along with you, and maybe you have the problem. Maybe it is PTSD. If everywhere you go, everyone rubs you the wrong way, then it's got to be you. Maybe you're the sandpaper.
You're the rough edge.
So consider that, bracketeers. See someone if you need to. This has been a great episode.
Yeah, thank you so much.
David Spencer, bracketeer on the bracket.
On the bracket. I am
full
a bracketeer.
Full circle recursive bracketation.
And share the episodes.
Yes. Oh, yes. And so if you're a bracketeer, you'll be happy to share our episodes with your friends and neighbors. And if you don't share them, are they really your friends? Because you're withholding all the good stuff.
I share. Hit the like button.
Okay. Thank you again. We will see you for our next episode. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. If you're looking for more ways to build a meaningful and satisfying life, your next video is standing by.